On today's episode of The Hustling Agent, I sit down with Mr. Mark Choey. He's the CEO of HighNote, which is a new presentation software we talk about in depth. And he was the CEO and founder of Climb Real Estate in the California Bay Area. They were top-notch brokers that did all kinds of big things, which we'll talk about more in the episode. So I hope you get something out of it. Check it out.
Mark has been a long-time force in the real estate industry here in the Bay Area, which is a whole other conversation upon itself. And now is rolling out some software that I'm really excited about, which is HighNote. Mark, how's it going?
Awesome. As about as awesome as can be during these crazy, crazy times, but safe, family safe,
Yeah.
comfy home. What can you do, right?
Exactly. Where do you live?
Oh, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we just moved to Burlingame. We left San Francisco about right around the pandemic. We timed it kind of perfectly, but it was a complete coincidence. We were in San Francisco, Soma for a while. And so I'm kind of glad I'm not there right now, given that the fact the entire city is basically shut down. And, you have a really rampant homeless problem that's really kind of taken over the city. So being in Burlingame with a nice backyard and a big house is a nice change and a welcome change.
Living in the city. Wow. Yeah. So good. I think you got out probably the best time you would know best on the values there and with the pandemic. So good. So for those of our listeners that don't know you, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, how far back should I go? I'm a techie. I'm a electrical and computer engineer. I'm a nerd. And I got into real estate through investing. I was investing in real estate during the the previous bubble in the 90s, I think it was. Or no, was it the 90s? No, 2000s, the mid 2000s when the subprime thing happened. And I was investing, I was flipping, I was building a portfolio, and then my agent said to me, "Hey, you should be a real estate agent." And I said, "What? No, you're my agent. I'm not going to be a quote unquote used car salesman." I was thinking that way at the time. I was like, I'm not going to be a salesman. And then I said, okay, maybe I'll get my license and it'll maybe give me access to business and deals and insider stuff and get into the industry a little bit. And then I did. And then I picked up this Gary Keller book. Right. And I think it's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent I think that's
MREA.
Yep. MREA. And that kind of changed me. And I was like, wow, there's a system around this. And there's a great way of doing this. And I'm all for this. And I think we could build something bigger. Let's build something bigger than just myself, than just being an agent, right? Because what happens if you get hurt or you get injured? Is there retirement? There's nothing. If you stop selling, that's it. So what's the asset that you're going to build, that you're going to have a legacy, that you're going to build wealth? How are you going to build wealth? Right. So then I convinced my partner or my agent at the time. I said, hey, I think there's an opportunity here in San Francisco, Soma and South Beach, linking up the conversation, which was at the time, and parts of it still are, desolate warehouse district full of auto garages, auto repair, tire shops.
Yes.
Paint stores, the whole 9 yards. And the city was like, we need to build housing, and we're going to build housing in this district. And we're going to build not just housing, but high density housing. And so I said, hey, this is a great opportunity to start a brokerage and a business here as the city is growing out and developing this part of Soma and San Francisco. So lo and behold, we formed Climb Real Estate. I had to learn real estate from the beginning and how to be a salesman, and I had it in me, and so I started my own practice. I decided to specialize, focus, and use tech. and I focused in one area, and I said Fifth Street is furthest I'll go in San Francisco. I will not go west of Fifth Street, and so everything from Fifth to the water and Embarcadero waterfront, south of Market Street, is my hood, and that's where I'm going to do it. So I moved into the area, and I moved into the largest condo development in San Francisco, the Infinity, and I took over. I sold 40% of the units in the building, 650 condos. You could make a career out of one building, right? And a lot of people have. And then, as part of our strategy at Climb was we replicated that strategy to the other buildings, and we recruited people, we recruited other agents that wanted to do the same type of deal, dominate a building. It's funny. There was this big agent down in South Beach. His name was Paul Labasco, and so he was a real character, right? Really rough guy, abrasive sometimes, but a character, funny, just straight shooter. And we used to make a joke, and he used to dominate a building called the Brannan. And so we would say, let's Labasco, he would say, let's Labasco this building. So we wanted to Labasco other buildings and do the same model, just dominate the sales in a building. That's what we did. So we planted agents in each building. We would pluck them from the new development offices after they sold, finished selling, right? When you walk into a new development, there's a sales office there and there's agents there. And after they're done, they're trying to figure out what their career is going to be like. And I said, well, you should farm that building now. They all know you. So we took that model and we built the brokerage, and San Francisco took off, Soma took off, tech moved in, the whole industry exploded. All our condo buyers that we focused on, and a lot of these projects we were focusing on, a new project, Arden, the Millennium, Soma Grand, Rincon Hill, the Harrison, all these buildings, we would make huge pushes to capture all of the buyers. And we would sometimes get up to 35% of all the buyers that go into the building. And those, we looked at them as seeds, right? They're seeds. They're owners now. And then they're going to start selling. Then they started selling. They started moving out of San Francisco to the rest of the Bay Area, and then Climb grew. Then we had offices opening up around the Bay Area, and then everyone started taking notice. We did some really great marketing, great branding. My partner, Chris Lim, who's now at selling franchises at properties. But I did the tech and the business strategy. And so we just combined forces and created this interesting brand, interesting independent brokerage. And Inman took notice. A lot of the press took notice. We got blown up in the press. And then Realogy came calling, and other suitors, and they wanted to buy a little bit. They wanted to get a piece of Climb. So they bought us, and they acquired us. And it's funny, when I walked into Realogy's office, I met Richard Smith, who was the president, I believe, at the time, and he goes to me, "Hi, young man." He's an old guy, right? And he's retiring, and he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, we spoke to our legal team, and we had them check Climb Real Estate trademark in all 50 states. And I will have you know, we reserved them, that name, in all 50 states. Welcome." And I said, "Oh, nice to meet you too." Yeah. Wow. Nice to meet you too. So, and that they announced plans to franchise us, which they didn't move forward with, which is a bummer. But our dream was always to have Climb on every corner, or in every city in the U.S. But they made the plans. They announced it. They did not move forward with it. Realogy had other issues to deal with than dealing with another franchise. Their stock price had really got hammered. They were dealing with Compass and the iBuyer stuff, all kinds of issues. But that was in 2016, and I decided to do it again. I think real estate is such a ripe industry for anything, either as a brokerage owner, as an agent, or a technologist. And now, all the stuff that we were doing for Climb and for agents in terms of using tech and interesting ways to sell and do business, we're going to teach the rest of the country, or we're going to offer products to do that for the rest of the country. So HighNote is our first product to do that. And Yeah, we launched earlier this year, and it's been going great.
Mark, that is an incredible story, man.
If
How
we
long?
had longer, there's a lot of details in all those,
Oh
but
man,
yeah,
I can't wait to hear about it all someday. Maybe not today, but yes, that is
yeah.
incredible. Engineer that got in a real estate for himself, opened up a brokerage. I'm almost like, I'm a tech guy. I have my bachelor's in IT, right? But then of course I got right into real estate, got out, owned a dispensary for 5 years, got out of that and got my real estate license again, and went straight the tech route, read the MREA, made the organizations in this business. Yes, that's incredible, man. That's
Oh my
incredible.
God, it's a very similar story, except for the
Yes.
dispensary part.
But California was crazy back then, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
2007. So how long from when you opened the brokerage to Realty knocking on your door?
So yeah, we opened the brokerage at the end of the crash, or the when the crash was in full swing, actually, towards the bottom of it, I guess. 2009 or 2010. I think it was beginning of 2010. Short sales, everything was a short sale. You know, if you got a listing, you almost didn't want it, right? And buyers, you almost didn't want them either. It was crazy. So we said, hey, you know what? This is a perfect time to open up a brokerage during the worst financial depression level of our generation. And it was great. It was, you know why? Because everyone was attracting. Other brokerages were closing shop. They were closing their offices. They were looking to cut costs. They were cutting down on marketing and advertising. And this big magazine, it was called the Real Estate Times, was this thick. And everyone's listings and ads were in it. And it became like half that size. And we said, wow, if we just increased our ad spend, we would take over a huge portion of this magazine. And so we did that. And that was the place to advertise, that magazine, Real Estate Times. So we got the cover or the back cover or in the middle. I can't remember what it was. And we just expanded everything. We said everything we should expand. When people were attracting, you expand.
Yep.
And so your dollar goes further, obviously. And then, relative to your competitors, you're increasing your share, at least mind share, right? And then mind share will translate to market share. So that was 2010, and we sold in 2016. So 6 years, pretty fast, I think.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, pretty fast. True. Yeah, we reached $1 billion in sales in 2016, and Compass was knocking on the door.
I'm sure. Right.
Compass, I was reading about Compass in New York, and someone turned me on to them. And this someone was funny. It was a funny story. This guy and this company tried to buy us, and they're a new development arm. I really respected them. New development home sales. And they wanted to add a retail portion to it, or resale portion, which just makes sense. These new development. Yeah. And, we couldn't make the deal happen, but, he said to me, and he's a really brilliant guy, but Chris Foley, this guy, he's big in the San Francisco scene, but he said, hey, tech is coming, and it's going to come in the form of technology brokerages or brokerages armed with tech. And I said, oh yeah, we are that too. He's like, no. With venture backing, 8 million in venture backing. And then I said, oh, who's that? He said, yeah, Compass, look them up. So I looked them up and I started watching them, and then, they kept on talking big, and they were poaching in people in New York. They were getting, they were hitting up Corcoran and Element and all these shops, and they were getting sued and countersuits, and they were coming across as playing dirty, like poaching agents, and really playing hardball. And so we're like, oh my God, if Chris is right, we're in trouble, because we don't have 8 million in venture funding to build tech. And that's what they were doing. They were building new tech from the ground up. And, you know, a brokerage owner like you and me, but we can't build tech, right? We can use tech and we could utilize it in different ways and we could find stuff, but we can't build tech, right? This is not our core competency,
No,
and it's
yeah.
expensive. So, you know, Compass started coming, and then we said, oh my God, we better start making some moves. So I would love to say real estate came to us, but it was actually the other way around. We hired a real estate broker, right?
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Fascinating. But you were able to sell before Compass came and poached all your agents.
Yeah, and that's another story. And I wrote all about it in Inman, but it almost didn't happen. They Compass, during the middle of the sale, Compass started coming and poaching our agents in the middle of the sale. And you know, that's not good. And then we closed the sale in August of 2016, the day after Compass announced they're opening their office in San Francisco. The day after. It was literally like 3 days after.
Wow.
And it was the whole story I wrote about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out, man. I'm gonna check it out.
It's a good read.
So yeah, great. I'm so curious to learn more, but I'm also more curious about HighNote because here's where I'm at with the whole product. So right now, this is January 5th, 2021. Happy New Year, Mark.
Happy New Year.
And, you know, I run an incredible team that's out there crushing it in a market with 13, 14 days of inventory.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
That means that the buying cycle has doubled because people get beat out, minimum doubled, right? And even me, who by far has the most inventory in town, plug to myself. Even with that, like, it doesn't necessarily help the buyer when the next buyer comes along and has a bigger checkbook and can just write more. It doesn't help the buyer that we even bring to our own listing, right?
Right.
I've been trying to buy a house and I'm getting beat out from agents who I know who still write on my listing. So it's a mess. So my big intention was, how do you stand out, right? And how do you keep that buyer engaged after rejection? And I think that you guys being in the Bay Area, you've been dealing with this kind of market for years.
Forever, yeah. So
when I heard about the software you had, and I said, wow, that really stands out. Every template and idea really stands out. And I see how it could just make the whole process more stand out. What's the word I'm looking for? But there's some other
differentiated.
Yes. So tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm not very good at many things, but like guitar behind you, I could not play it, right? I took lessons, and that Peloton, I could ride it, but I'm like weak, right? But I know one thing. I'm good at one thing, and I'm good at figuring things out and finding smart shortcuts to the problems. And the biggest problem that every agent has and every brokerage has is you have a lead, right? And a lead could be a buyer or a seller, or maybe a buyer wants to write an offer, right? You have a lead to a check, right? You have this opportunity to getting a commission check.
Yeah.
Now, but you're in competition with other people to get that lead, right? In the buyer situation, they're probably interviewing 2 other agents. In the seller situations, they're definitely interviewing some people. And in the offer situation, you're up against other offers. So what's the fastest way and the best way to turn that lead into a check, right? And for real estate, it's all about winning the deal. And how do you win the deal? You need to impress the lead. And you impress them in a couple ways. We used to train our agents at Climb. We'd be like, hey, you need to know the market backwards and forwards, inside and out. You need to know all the players. You need to know the inventory in the building, and you need to know what things are selling for, who's selling what, who's got something in their pocket, what are the discounts that are being offered, whatever. And you need to know like the top of your head. You can't say, I need to get back to you on that, right? So it's speed and competence, right? Like, and one package. But it also has to look good too. So it's speed, competence, and it has to look professional, right? Very often, agents have one or the other. They're fast, right? But maybe they don't know everything. Maybe they know everything, but they're maybe not super fast, or maybe they're a relationship person, right? They like have some dimension, like they have a great connection with you, but they don't know the information right away. It's rare that there's I mean, the great agents have all three. They're professional, right? They're they're really, you know, they know their game, they're experienced, and they're responsive. That's the ultimate agent, right? So now, how do you do that but how do you do that with software, right? And what is the number one thing an agent needs help with? Every day they get a lead and they're stressed out. They're like, oh my God, I have this seller listing presentation. And that's all they can think about all day long. They're stressed out. And as a brokerage owner, you're trying to support your agent. You're like, how do I help you get this listing? Well, they want a customized presentation for this listing, this seller. I'm like, oh, great, let's do it. But you have, you know, hundreds of other agents you got to support too. Yeah. And unless you hire an army of marketing people, you cannot turn these things over quickly enough and efficiently enough. And you go back and forth with it. Oh, there's a typo here. Oh, I need this and I need that. Okay, that'll be, you know, give me 5 hours. I'll work on that. It's a problem. It's a problem for agents and a problem for the brokerage owners and the marketing managers. So we said, let's build a tool that works the way an agent works, which is one, in their email. They're working in their email all the time. They have links, they have videos that works with the way they market properties, YouTube videos, websites, and they have PDFs and things like that to send, like contracts and disclosures and marketing stuff. But then build a tool that lets them build it. It's so easy that they can build it themselves. Why? Because turnaround time is faster, and you eliminate all the back and forth between the agent and the marketing staff, and then you just get them to go. And then it's got to be something where they know what's happening. Right now, you send an email with a listing presentation or an offer. You don't know what's happening.
No.
You don't know. Some agents will install the extensions in their email and say, okay, it's like Boomerang, et cetera, or Mixmax, see if it's something that's read. But you don't know if they've read. What did they read? You just send it an email full of like 8 attachments and links. Did they read? What did they read in there? You don't know. And then so you end up having to call and then try to figure it out and try to talk to them. It's so inefficient, right? And today's technology, with technology, you can solve that problem.
Yes.
Right. So we built this product to solve these problems. Quick, impactful presentations that have data, smart data. So you send something, you get data. What did they read? What pages did they read? How long did they read? Did they even open the cover sheet? Did they open the offer? How long did they spend in the offer? Did they look at the buyer video? What did they check out? Report back to my buyer, right? Hey, I think our offer is too low. Why do you say that, Mr. Agent? Well, because they didn't really look at our offer that much. If you got a strong offer as a listing agent and you have a strong offer, you're going to double check that offer.
Yes. That's so insightful, man. Didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, you need to double check. You're going to double check the offer. You're going to make sure everything's signed. It's all initialed. They have proof of funds. They have their pre-approval or mortgage. They have this, everything's initial. You double check for all the contingencies, everything, and make sure it's good. And you're going to analyze that, and you're going to check out. I don't know if your area, they send buyer letters or videos. Does your agents?
Yes, California DRE, they're not encouraging us to do that anymore.
Correct.
So my compliance guy is telling my agents to stop. However, carry on, please.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
So in some areas, some do it, some don't. But when we were doing it with letters and pictures and videos, you could see, are they opening the video a lot and the buyer letter and the pictures, or are they checking out just going straight for the contract?
Sure.
And in those situations, then, okay, the sellers care about who's buying the home if they're checking out the video a lot.
Yes.
Or if they're checking out the pictures. And if they're open a contract, okay, maybe they don't care who it is. They just care about the dollar, the number, or the terms of the offer. Either way, you have some information and data that you could go back to your buyers on. And we've had many, many agents say this to me. It's helped them win offers. Not only because they're able to get analytics back to their buyers and tell them, hey, they're not opening the offer, or they didn't really click on the link, or they didn't even look at anything, but the receiving end are impressed with the offer because it looks so much better. It's not just an email full of PDFs. It's this presentation style. It has the summary page, the contract, the pre-approval, proof of funds, and then whatever else you want to include in there, maybe your agent inspection, whatever it is you want to include in there to show that you are serious about this offer. And several agents have said, the listing agent said, wow, this is the best offer I've ever seen. And okay, is that going to sway the deal? Sometimes it does. Why? Because the listing agent has more confidence in you as a professional buyer agent to do something like this for your buyers. And they're like, wow, they seriously want this thing. And then it stands out. It's not just an email PDF, right? It's a presentation of your offer. And you're selling your buyers just as much as you're presenting an offer. You are selling your buyers, and not just your buyers, yourself too as an agent. Because who's likely to get the deal done is the listing agent often thinking. Okay, great. We got these 3 offers. Who's the professional that in this is going to shepherd this through, right? It doesn't matter if it's non-contingent and everything, fine. It doesn't matter. But every deal has some contingencies. Every deal has something that has to get done to get through. And is it going to be a good experience, or are they going to push it through and make sure it happens or not? And so HighNote really allows an agent and a brokerage to showcase the best parts of themselves and value, right? Your value proposition is delivered. The other day I had a testimonial from a guy, and he said that. He's just said, it was like a bidding war in Southern California for something really low, something like 600,000 when the real price was 900 or something like that. And they literally got 30 to 40 offers on it. But this agent with the HighNote offer won.
Good.
And why? It was the presentation of the offer. And she wasn't even the highest price. She was not the highest price. This agent on the listing agent side got 30 to 40 offers. She liked this one, the seller liked this one, and they didn't want to be greedy. They were just like, look, we got a great price. Other offers were coming in 25K higher, right? 15,000 higher, etc. And she still won. They said, nah, we want to go with these guys. We want to go with these guys. And we hear this feedback all the time. So buyer agents are now telling their buyers, hey, you should work with me. Why? Because I have a tool that's going to get you closer to winning deals than anyone else's, winning offers, right? And it's a great tool to win offers. And this is what it does. We present your offer in a slick format, and we get data and analytics. I can tell you what's happening. And a couple agents have restated their offers because of the data. They say, hey, you know what? They're not even reading it. They're not checking it out. The buyer, and then you see, I told you we should have went higher, Mr. Buyer. Okay, let's go higher. And
Incredible.
then go up 25K.
That is incredible, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm sold again, and I'm already got it. I'm sold again.
Awesome. Yeah, we can't wait. We're excited to have you guys on.
Yeah, I mean, that just makes so much sense. The differentiation, and it's so professional, and that's what it takes.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
that's your job as an agent.
We get offers all day long, right? I put 10 to 15 new listings with my name as a listing agent on them every week, and I get offers all day long. with explicit notes in the MLS on how to submit the damn offer, explicit instructions, and it's just a shit show half the time.
Yeah.
Like I really feel like there's no effort into the offer. Like you've been a guy, like you just get an offer and it says offer. Well, what address, right? Like who are you? So it's
Yeah. I mean, the level of service and care and professionalism still needs to get up and or be elevated. And, I think there's a lot of things we can do to help agents. And I really got a kick out of helping agents. As a brokerage owner, you need to, right? You need to care about the agents.
I like it. Yes.
And if you don't, it comes through, right? It shines through and they'll leave. They'll feel it. So the best brokerage owners and the best brokerages and people that love their managers and their own, are the ones that care ultimately. And I care because I want to help them. I can help them. And so I want to help the rest of the industry, with their ideas instead of just a brokerage, right? So anyway.
Well, I'm excited to know you and to get to meet you on a podcast, right?
Same here.
That was the best part. Good. So I think we're meeting this week to talk over the onboarding on my account. So I'm excited. What do you have planned for 2021?
Oh man, we spent this last year in beta and figuring out, the product, squashing bugs, understanding what's the best use case, how we're going to grow, how we're going to reach agents. And so figuring all that out, and now we're going to be announcing this year, right? Doing a nationwide-ish launch.
Awesome.
Starting in February. So, making it available to everyone. And we have a product. We have a great product. Agents are raving about it. They love it. It makes their lives easier. It makes the brokerage owners' lives easier. It's a great experience for the reader, right? The readers love it. It's not just 18 PDFs and links and links and then links, but it just presents everything in a very simple, easy to read way. So we're excited. We have a whole industry to change, and that's just product one, right? That's just the first product. So, real estate has, you notice, Suneet, has no shortage of issues that tech can solve. There is no shortage. This is the most, I don't want to call it backward, but it's the most, it's the industry that's changed probably the least. One of the least of all industries. I mean, healthcare here in hospitals and has changed, is hard to change as well. But real estate is one of those. It's just entrenched in the way it's doing things, mostly because it's so manual, right? Humans are needed all the time, and salespeople are not the best with technology, not because they don't know how to use it or can't figure it out. They just don't have time. Are you going to spend 2 hours trying to configure your CRM, or when you have all these calls coming in and business to and service and, clients to service and stuff? I mean, it just doesn't work, right? You can't do both. And, so I'm excited. There's just tons of problems to chase after. But our goal for 2021 is to build the best pitching platform out there for real estate agents. So
awesome. Well, if you ever need a beta, let me know. I'm always interested. Well, if people want to reach out to you or get more information about HighNote, how should they do that?
Yeah, Mark MRK at HighNote, HighNote.io.
Awesome.
Don't forget the IO part. HighNote.io, Mark at HighNote.io, or just Google me, Mark Choey, and I'm all over the place on Google. So,
man, it was a real pleasure getting to spend this time with you. So thank you. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I have notes, and I'm excited about the future and working more closely with you guys. I think I have a lot to learn from someone like yourself. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. It was fun to be here.
And cool. So I'll see you around, man.
Yes. See you later. Thanks.
Well, I hope you got something out of that episode. I think Mark has a great story, and I learned something from him, and we're We're now using HighNote on my team. Very excited about where that's going to go. Thanks for watching this episode of The Hustling Agent. We'll see you soon.